Hi everyone, it's Mr. Random again, and I think this is part 3 of my series here, how I did the photo server. So in this step, we're going to install the WordPress on here. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we update our system. Just to make sure we got everything up to date, get rid of old stuff, new stuff, blah blah blah. And once we run that, then we'll be able to continue. But it's always important to have the most up-to-date stuff, because if you have old files and there's new files and they try to install them, and they'll be like, hey, you have the old stuff, there'll be like a lot of workarounds you have to do. It's a bunch of stuff. So the guide that I'm following, I already pre-tested it, so some of the stuff might come back and say, hey, you already did it. Some of them might not. So if you see that in the video, don't freak out. I kind of know what I'm doing. Haha, hee hee. Haha.
Is it the end of days?
Okay, so after that, we're going to install Apache 2, which is our web server. And then after we install it, it's very important, we want to enable it. When you enable something in Linux, that means you tell the system to automatically start it when the server reboots. So it'll automatically start whenever the system is started. See, it's creating a symlink there for other stuff, but we want to do it for the main program. So if you do it this way, the guide says to do it this way. I'm going to post a link to the guide or whatever on the bottom, like I always do. But this is fine, this will work, but we want to enable it now, so we'll do a dash, I believe it's dash now if I'm not mistaken. And not only will it enable the service, but it will also start it if it's not running. So that's great if we do the dash now. Now it's not part of the guide, I'm just letting you know. Now if you want to make sure it's running, I already know it is, but if you want to make sure it's running, the guide says go ahead and check it. There's some things that the guide's going to tell you to do that I'm not going to do, because I already know how to do it, and I can skip it and just keep telling you guys what to do. But if this is your first time and you want to make sure every little thing, then yeah, go ahead and do what the guide says. Do this, check this, blah blah blah. But again, I already know what I'm doing. I've done it several times, and I'm just skipping certain parts. Now you might be asking yourself, then, if you know how to do it, why are you using the guide? That's a good question. Because I don't know everything by heart. I know what the commands mean, what to do, and stuff like that. I just don't remember all the steps in order. It's like when you cook something, you know, you gotta, at first you don't know the recipe, but after you do it 100 times, you know it. So I haven't done this 100 times, but I've done like a little bit of everything 100 times, if that makes any sense. So now if we want to test this, we can go to our website or to our address, if you want to call it that. So it would be, I don't know if I'm going to show it on here. I probably won't. Oh, you know what? I have not enabled the ports, so let me enable that first.
This doesn't work.
So what is it? UFW sudo UFW allow HTTPD HTTP, and then HTTPS, and then SSH. Okay, great. Now let's try this again. And it doesn't work.
Absolutely.
Let's try localhost, because usually it's localhost. They're not in I wonder why
this is why we have problems.
Oh, that is not your MAC address. Okay, I gotta troubleshoot something real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, I think I got this. So I think I just need to enable UFW allow HTTP. Fuck.
What the hell is going on? Like I'm still in shock.
And I think that's it. let's try this again.
Oh man, I can't wait
But-
that done. What?
Troubleshoot some more. Okay, there it goes. Got it running now. So that's working. Let's clear all this out. Then the next step here is to install PHP, and we're gonna do version 8, I believe. We're doing all of that, and that's gonna take it a minute or two. But sometimes I might jump in. The future me might jump in here and add another package or something like that, because WordPress takes a lot of different PHP packages, and then there's stuff with the buffering that it does. So if I add something down here in the future, once I go back through my stuff, then I'll add it in a different section of this video. So I might not do all of the PHP, basically is what I'm saying right now, or most of it. After this is done, then we're going to install the server, the database server, and then we'll go for, or the, well, yeah, client, I guess, if you want to call it that. Okay, so after all that is done, then we're going to install MariaDB. Now, you have a choice here. You can install MySQL, or you can install MariaDB. I personally have been using MariaDB for the longest time. There's pros and cons and all kinds of stuff that you can say about this, but I've been using MariaDB for the longest time because I have lots of experience with Red Hat Linux, so that's why I use that. But to each their own. But I'm going to use Maria, so
I don't give about none of them.
let that go. Now, I mean, I can use pretty much both. It doesn't really matter in the end, like Linkin Park says. But again, I just rather use MariaDB because I'm familiar with it as far as the install go and the configurations and stuff like that. So yeah, party on, Wayne. After this is done, we're gonna enable it again, just like we did last time, and we're gonna enable it now so it'll be faster and actually start up everything. Because once we enable it, we're going to want to run the what's called the secure, or Maria Secure, which basically it hardens it. Hardening it makes it more secure, and that's good because it's safer that way, and we want to be safe. So here we go. Now I'm going to go through these real quick, so I'm not going to take a lot of time and explain what the hell all this is. But basically, if we didn't have password set up or stuff like that, this is the places where we would set up a password, enter the password and stuff like that. In this situation, in this scenario, there's already a password set up for root, so we don't have to change it, and there's no password in the beginning, so we could just hit enter right here. So we're going to hit no. So basically it's just telling us what to do. It says your account's already protected, so you hit no. Remove anonymous users, yes. Disable root login remotely, yes. That's a safety thing. We definitely want to disable that. Remove test database, yeah, because people can run things on that. So reload privileges, yes. Okay, that's done. So now what we want to do is we're going to log in to the MariaDB,
And you gotta get on it.
and from here we're going to create the database that WordPress needs. Now in the example and the guide, it says new user at localhost identified by your password. That information you change, okay? So you change it to what you want it to be. For example, create new user. I'm gonna just say, I don't know, fuck it, just whatever size up. Now this is just an example. I know somebody gonna try to hack me and be like, oh, you know, he's giving us his information. We're gonna hack your world. Well, this is just an example. So we can just put test, I guess. Now put whatever password you want, because identify by means actual means password. And so like I said, this is just fake. It's not real. Don't try to hack my shit. So we're doing that. Hit enter. Then we're going to create the database. Now I recommend creating a database with anything except a lot of these guides will say create new database WordPress _DB or WordPress. Don't do that. That's not the smart way to do it, because there's these hackers called script kiddies that run these scripts that automate their hacking process to make it easy for them, and 99% of them will always have like WordPress _DB or WordPress because it's the default that people use to install these things and the guides and everything. So don't do that. Put something like, I don't know, something creative, like whatever the name of your site is, or something that's just not the norm. So this one, for example, I'm just gonna put whatever and hit enter. Done. Now here's the important part. We have to give the user we created permission to access that database. We have to grant them all the privileges. So this is the part where we do that. Now remember the database name? I said it was whatever _DB. So it was whatever DB, and to the new user, which I created, was SciSop at the top, remember? So put in the name of whatever database you created here.
Time to hack.
Grant on whatever DB is my name of my database. 2 and SciSop inside these little brackets, and that's going to be at localhost. Now localhost can change. That could be an IP address, that could be whatever, but that it's advanced and outside of this thing, so we're going to stick to this for now. Enter. Done. So what that did is that user now has all privileges and access to that database, basically is what it's saying. Now the last thing is we want to flush all that. It's basically like, it's a complicated explanation, but we have to do that to finish. And then we exit out of here. So again, that's how you do that part. You use your own settings for that, okay? Don't use the guides and stick to the guides, because that's not secure. Come up with your own database name, come up with your own username, figure it out. If you get stuck, send me a message, leave me a comment, get a hold of me on Discord, whatever, and we'll go from there. Alright, the next step, we're gonna install the WordPress. Now there's a few ways to do this. So this is the way the guide's doing it. I've done it different ways, but I'm gonna do it the way the guide does. You can use curl, but for whatever reason they want to use wget, that's fine. So we're installing that right now. And curl is just almost the same thing as wget. It's similar, so let's not get into that. So now we're getting the file from the WordPress website. Now we're gonna use unzip to unzip it. There's different ways to unzip this. You can use RAR or the BZ, whatever. There's different ways to do it, but again, this is for beginners, so there's gonna be people saying, oh, this is not how you do it, I'll kill you. So yeah, now we're gonna copy all the information that we just decompressed and move it to the folder on the HTML server, and then we're gonna delete the file, the zip file that we downloaded. Now we got to copy the permissions, and we're basically going to change ownership of that file that we just messed with. That way data has permission or becomes the owner of that folder. It's so there's a lot of permission errors that'll happen if you don't do that. and access errors. We're also going to do the same thing for this is changing the permissions and stuff. Same thing, it causes errors if we don't do this, so we got to do this now. Now, the step here is it's basically going to do a virtual host. Now there's how can I put this? You don't to keep it simple, I'm going to do it because the guide says so, and it's for beginners. But you don't have to do it if it's just a single web server on your host. If it's a single web server, you don't have to do this part. But if we do it, there's pros and cons to doing it and not doing it. I'm not going to go into that. If you want more info on that, let me know. But I'm going to do it just because the guide says to do it. So let's just leave it at that. So I'm going to explain quickly what some of these things are, not into great detail. Virtual host with the asterisk and then 80, that means port 80 is the default, and asterisk means, I believe that means for any IP or any host. Now this is where would be the email address for the admin of this server. I'm just going to leave it as admin at localhost for now, because I don't know what domain I'm going to use for this server. I'm still building it. I'll have to go back and change this, but you can leave it as the example if you want. You don't have to change that. Now my server name, I'm gonna see, I still don't know what I'm gonna name this bitch. I guess we'll leave it like this for now, but I'll just explain it. So server name is gonna be, for example, if your server name is www.ilikepuppies, it would be ilikepuppies.com, and your alias would be www.ilikepuppies.com. So now your directory and all that, that's where the files are and stuff like that. Document root, exactly the same thing. Follow all symlinks, allow override all. That's instructions for the server on what to do. And this is just error logs where it's appending stuff to it and it's telling it where to write things to. That's a very simple basic explanation on this. Now this is important because once you start doing certificates, it'll help out do certificates like for SSL. So again, make sure you got all this set up. Do this. We'll write it. Control O to write. Control X to exit. Clear the screen. Now we have to enable it, that file that we just created.
Nothing is working.
There. And then we need to reload. Well, we also need to do the rewrite. Then we need to reload Apache 2. So basically we just do system control restart Apache 2. There. Now on this one here, it's wanting us to disable the default. I've never had to do that before, but since the guy says to do it, we're gonna do it. Now technically the website should be running, so let's check it out. Oh, there it goes. It is. Now in other guides, it'll have us change the database information in the WP. I'm going to show you that as well. With this guide, I don't think it does that. No, it doesn't do it that way. For now I'm going to do it the way the guide says, and then I'll show you how to do it the other way. Okay, so the database name was, remember what we said, the example, I don't remember what it was, but this is where you put your database name. Whatever you named it, that's where you would put it. The username, whatever username you created, and whatever password you created. The local host, where it's going to get where the local host is served. So local host means on your own server. This would change if you had it somewhere else. And that's the prefix for the table. Don't worry about that, that's defaulted. You can change it, but that's defaulted.
It really works.
And we didn't change it, so just leave it like that. Then hit submit, and it'll connect, and it'll be successful. So what I'm going to do, I don't want to show all this information, my information, on here. So I'm going to do it on the back end. Okay, so just bear with me here. I'm going to switch gears, WordPress. So this is going into the WordPress directory where all the files are hosted and stored. So it's cd/var, cd means change directory, cd/var/www/html/WordPress. That's how we get there. Okay, I'm giving you a minute to type all that in. Then we hit ls to show all the files, and we're looking for the one that says wp config sample php, which is right here. See it? It's right there. So what we need to do first is change the name on that. So we're going to use the mv command, wp-config-sample-php. Then we're just going to name it to wp-config.php. There we go. Now we'll clear the screen so you can see this change. Now ls, see, it changed. Now it's just wp-config.php. Now the mv command changes names and it also moves files. So yeah, it's interesting. So now we're going to use nano to edit that file.
Oh man, I can't wait that long.
Fuck, there's so many. Okay, nano. You can use whatever editor you want. Vim, VI, whatever. Gmax, all that other stuff. I just use nano. I like nano. So here's the back end. Here's where we define the database name. That's where we would type it in here. The database user. That's where we would type it in there. The password, the localhost. That's where you can go do this this way, or you could do it the other way. Now, see, if you're a beginner, I would stick to the guide way of doing it. But this is another way of doing it. Some guides will have you do it here. However you want to do it, it'll still work. There's a lot of other things you can change on here to improve security or do other things. I am not messing with that. For example, the unique keys and salts, we can change the salt settings, things like that. I am not going to go over that in this video. That is outside of the beginner scope, so we're not going to talk about that now. But I'll make another video about that, or whatever. You can ask me about it. So this is the other way of doing it. Now I'm going to add my information on here, then I'm going to go back so I can show you that it works. Okay. Alright everyone, so here it goes. WordPress is up and running. I'm going to make another video in this series on what plugins I install, the themes and all that. Basically the customization of it, must have themes and stuff like that for this. Now this WordPress install is going to be based on my photo gallery that I have. I'm a photographer. That's not my profession, but that's one of my hobbies. I wouldn't say I'm a professional. I would say I'm intermediate. You know, I still have a lot of learning to do and stuff. But my favorite things to do is landscaping and astrophotography and wildlife. So we'll go from there. So this marks the end of it. If you have any questions, leave a comment. If you need extra help, go to my Discord. I'm always on there gaming or, you know, chatting with friends or whatever. And anything else, you know, whatever. If I missed something, put it on there. If I messed up on something, let me know. And if you want me to do something else, like I said, let me know. I'm rambling now, so I'll end it. Share, like, subscribe, all that. Love you. Bye.
Please like and subscribe.